All right, guys. So without further ado, let's begin this top 10 list of my favorite horror movies. So we're gonna go from 10 to 1. So here we go. So number 10. I'm looking at my piece of paper right now. So guys, I'm a professional again. But number 10 for me is The Lost Boys. This one I saw for the first time about maybe 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, actually. I just love the premise of the story where these two brothers move in with their mom in this small California town, and I just loved how they kept the 80s vibe to it. I think it was shot in '87, I believe, and they were just roaming around, and then they were meeting all these people near like the pier, and then these group of vampires are just chilling, eating people and shit. So it was a pretty cool story. I loved it. They didn't do too much, but they did just enough to keep it like, wow, like it was, I don't know, it felt balanced. That's what I felt from it. So it was pretty cool. I loved it. They should do more vampire movies, but of course, sometimes they go off the rail with horror movies nowadays. But that one definitely they should do another one. Or I guess maybe not a sequel to The Lost Boys, not even a remake. I think they should do a completely new vampire movie. So. Moving on, let's do number 9 is 1982 version of The Poltergeist. Now this one was really interesting. I loved how the mother and daughter, they were like playing with the poltergeist, like with the ghost. They thought it was something that was fun, but really they were playing with fire. And I loved how the chair scenes, it was shaped like some sort of pyramid and the chair was just moving. Scary shit if you really think about it. Like I'm looking at my freaking bar seats right now. If that shit moves, I'm out of this apartment. Like I'm out. So that's already enough for me. I've had my experiences with ghosts, don't get me wrong. But yes, this movie is probably number 9 for me. I hate putting it that number, but when I learned about the I guess the background of this movie, about the little girl who sadly passed away. I didn't know that. I heard like Steven Spielberg had like a huge lunch set up, so when it was lunchtime every day on filming, I think the cast of E.T. Poltergeist, I think it was shot in the same area, so they would have lunch together and stuff, and that kind of got me teary-eyed a little bit because it's like, wow, she did such an amazing job. She was just a kid, man. But rest in peace, and it was a really amazing film. Very dark too, but I loved it. It's got that original feeling to it, you know what I mean? But Steven Spielberg, one of my favorite movie directors of all time, he did a great job. Now moving on to number 8, I have Train to Busan. Now this one is a Korean horror film. It's like this huge zombie virus that goes on while they're on the train. And I believe it somehow goes into the train. So sorry guys, it's the Fanta, pineapple guys, that's where it's at, you know what I mean? These are cool cans, by the way. I'm trying to collect them all. I have this one. I have a bottle version of Beetlejuice as well, so I need 2 more. But yeah, these are cool. But back to the story. So they're basically trying to survive the train ride. Everyone's turning into zombies on the train, and each cart is getting filled with zombies. These zombies are sprinting. It's like World War Z sort of zombies. I regret not putting that on my list because World War Z is a phenomenal zombie movie, but this one just caught my attention a little bit more. I just love how fast they turned into a zombie, how they transformed. It was pretty amazing shit, or excuse my language. But I could imagine what it was like with the prosthetics and the makeup and everything. I would love to be involved with that somehow in the future. But the ending was, yeah, you get it if you've seen this film. I think it was shot in 2016. The main character was in Squid Game actually, but yeah, this guy did an amazing job. And the acting was on point. The little girl's acting is phenomenal. She's got a huge, huge future ahead of herself if she decides to pursue that, of course. She's just a little kid. But yeah, it was such a great movie. I highly recommend it if you really want to watch a great zombie movie. Now, of course, Night of the Living Dead, World War Z. I love the Walking Dead TV shows. I'll admit it, I'm a fan. I've seen them all. I agree with some of the stories there. Like, yeah, I had my disagreements, but I still wanted to follow the show. And right now I'm about to start on Daryl Dixon. So I'm finishing up Fear the Walking Dead. You know, this is a whole different video. I'm gonna save that for another video. But right now we're talking about top 10 horror movies. So I highly recommend it. We're moving on to number 7, which is The Invisible Man, the 2020 version. I saw this with my mom right before the pandemic. I want to say it was early March. We went to our local Regal Cinemas, we checked it out, and we fell in love with it. The feeling you had, like the music, like the thumps, like room, and like just the way they were able to modernize it. Like, you know how you see in those old horror movies where there's like, oh, he was made in the lab, or, you know, he bit me, now I'm turning into one. It wasn't like that. They were definitely trying to make it look more real in today's time, because we're in a different time now and stuff. There's some stuff that just doesn't scare people today. So I think they really grabbed our attention pretty well with that. And it was still frightening. You know, can you imagine just like being in a house and just, you're thinking like, oh shoot, someone is sitting there. And then all of a sudden you see the cushion go, oh shit, like that's terrifying. And the scene where she drops the paint on him, that got me right there, man. That was awesome. Big props to the director. I believe his name is Mr. I had written down Whannell or something like that. Leigh Whannell, I think. Oh, I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure. But he did an awesome job. He's making the Wolfman movie this January, so tune in for that. They had something going on at my horror nights in Orlando. They had this actor dressed as, like, I guess he's the Wolfman. He was an old man with like some claws, so I don't know if it's another character in that movie or another Wolfman, but they look pretty good. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Invisible Man, I recommend it. Number 5, no, I'm not number 5. Number 6, I have Paranormal Activity, 2007. Now, this one is a found footage movie. This one deals with, you know, of course, the paranormal, demons. I honestly applaud this one because this is kind of one of the first ever found footage movies going onto the big screen. And I definitely loved it. It was amazing. I loved how they, how do I describe it? Like a ghost is in your house, but they shot it in a different form. Like, it kept getting worse by each video. I love how they kept the main character, Katie, involved with all the other movies. I've seen them all. I love the marked ones. Honestly, that's kind of my second favorite one. And then part 3 and 2. Part 3, that one was freaking terrifying. But they did an awesome job with this. You know, of course, I love The Conjuring, Amityville, The Exorcist, all these demon movies. But it's hard to film them nowadays. And this one, I think, kicked the ball for me here. I love the other ones too, but I think this is probably one of my favorite ghost movies of all time, probably. Number 5 is I'm going with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This one was shot in 2003, so this is probably one of the first Texas Chainsaw movies I've seen in my lifetime. This one scared, you know, yeah, the shit out of me. I think my older brother showed me this one when I was pretty young, but hey, y'all gotta start somewhere, right, with horror movies, so this is probably one of the first ones I was shown. And the way he was tall, buff, terrifying mask, dude, like, that's freaking terrifying. The scene where, I think, yeah, when the girl's running through the hallway and she hides in the locker, and he's just with his freaking chainsaw looking at all the lockers, it's like, yo, like, no, I'm good. I think I'd be scared of acting in that too, because like some shit just looks so too real. And the scene where like he gets the salt and just, you know which scene I'm talking about. But they did a great job with that movie. You know, I think that one still holds up really well today. Honestly, for me personally, I think it's aging up like fine wine. I've seen the new one on Netflix. It wasn't terrible, but I wasn't enjoying it that much. I didn't have that, I don't know, that feeling of like, whoa, this is, you know, it didn't like scare me as much, because like, you know, it's just an old man, Leatherface, and yeah, you know, he can be terrifying at some points in the movie, but I don't know, I wasn't vibing with it that much. I think it's hard for me to adjust to it because of how it kind of takes in today's time, because all the people in there had iPhones and such like that. They're in the future basically, but it's hard. I guess it's hard for me because like I was so used to these kids in this little van going in. You know, they're all on flip phones and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like it was a a different story they were going for with this new one. So maybe that's it. But honestly, I'm just happy that horror movies are being made. So, you know, that's all you can ask for, right? So, moving on. Number 4, I have this one was a hard one. This one is the Child's Play franchise, or Chucky franchise, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna have to go with Child's Play 2. That one is one of my favorite ones. It was a hard pick, but the reason why I chose Child's Play 2 is because they were definitely going with a different way of the story. Like, they decided to separate Andy from his mom. They decided to introduce new characters, and they made Chucky a little bit more, how do I describe it? Like, more of a personality, I think. Yeah, I think that's when they did it. Because part 1, yeah, he had personality. I mean, you know, the dude was in the doll, but I feel like he was, you see, that's why it's so hard, because part 1, it was such a mysterious movie too. Like, you know, you didn't really see the doll as much, and that's what I loved about it. But part 2, I think, is where Chucky was really, really coming out, as you can see right here. But yeah, that was my favorite one. I love the the factory scene where they're running through and then he just, So that one was really good. I loved it. The factory scene is probably a classic part of the movie. And of course, where he's on the swing and he's digging up the the old doll and everything like that. So I love killer doll movies. They're fun. They're just fun. They're a good time. You know what I mean? So, but hey, I will not disagree with you and with any of the other Chucky movies. They're all great. Yeah, I don't know about See the Chucky though, but it's all good. So we're gonna move on though, cause yeah. All right, number 3, I have House of 1000 Corpse, directed by Rob Zombie. Crazy movie. Something that kids should never watch, but I was lucky enough to come across it when I was a kid. So that's when my love of horror movies started to come out even more. So it raised the bar. You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, House of Wax, all these movies introduced me to this. But yes, House of 1000 Corpse was definitely one of the ones where I kind of appreciated, because of the fact how Mr. Zombie was trying to do something different here. He was trying to, let's say, like, do certain scenes that you normally wouldn't see. You know, the bad guys win, and usually the bad guys lose, but, you know, he kind of reversed it. So I honestly enjoyed it. I believe they had Rainn Wilson's character. He was like, as the mermaid on the dinner scene, and all the people were like, whoa, what the hell? So, because he disappeared for so long, that was freaking disturbing. And the haircut scene, oh, F that. I'm good. So, and I'm leaving out that one guy, the bald dude with the with those freaking shot fingers or whatever. That dude was insanely terrifying. Scarred me for life, for real. The way how the person was like running through the caves underground, and he's coming back up, and then the freaking Lords of Salem shit's going on. Like, yo, this one was insane. And it's so crazy because this could actually be some real freaking stuff happening in the middle of nowhere. Who knows? But I hope not, but you never know. That was definitely a very scary scene for me, but I'm happy to have witnessed it, I guess. So I think they end up escaping. Yeah, the girl escapes, I forgot her name. And all of a sudden, whenever she's heading home, I believe it's the clown guy. Yeah, what's his name? Captain Spaulding, I believe. Unfortunately, he had passed away, but his character was, I think he found her walking, and then he picks her up, and all of a sudden, the dude just pops out of nowhere. Forgot his name, but you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not over. So I've seen Devil's Rejects too. That's probably one of the greatest movie endings in my opinion. Probably my top 5, I want to say. Haven't seen 3 from Hell yet. I need to see that one. But guys, you gotta check out Rob Zombie movies. If you want to see something like crazy, there you go. Number 2, this one is a very, very hard decision. But number 2 is The Shining. I just love how the opening act shows the car where Jack's character is going for the interview. It's just such a quiet tone. Like, it's taking its time. And I kind of miss films doing that, to be real with you. It's such a, I don't know, it's such a fresh breath of air seeing that. And then the little kid's going crazy, you know, with his little hand, you know, what does he say? No, not Red. Of course, I know Red Drum, but I know something. He said something. His finger's talking through the movie a lot. But I think my favorite scene out of The Shining is when which one's my favorite? I think it's, of course, I want to say the bar scene. That one was an extraordinary acting there. I don't know how he did it, how he even got into the headspace to pull that off, but you couldn't even, like, Jack was, I could tell like he was being a whole different person. So that was a pretty creepy film, or creepy scene. And then I think is when, another one I liked was when the camera was down in the pantry and you're kind of looking up at him and his head is just against the door and his wife is keeping him inside the pantry because, you know, he's gonna freaking hurt these guys. So it's kind of like, whoa, like what do you do here? So lock him in the pantry. So that one was pretty crazy scene. It's The Shining, you gotta check it out. If you haven't seen it, please do so. And rest in peace to Shelley Duvall. She was an amazing actor, the Popeye, The Shining. Such a great actress. Rest in peace. So number 1, this one was a very, very difficult one to choose. There's so many great horror movies out there. And like I said at the beginning of this video, there's some I've never seen in my life. So this one could be not number 1. But based on what I've seen so far, I'm gonna say it. But number 1 for me, The Shining's right underneath. It's right there. It used to be number 1, but I had to move this one down. Hereditary. Hereditary is probably one of the scariest movies I've seen in my life, probably. This one traumatized me for like a week. Just the acting was amazing. That's how it got me. The brother and sister, oh my gosh. The scene where he's driving and his sister's head just gone. Like, yo, this is insane. Like, that just happens all of a sudden. Like, it was so quick. And it's just heartbreaking shit going on in this movie, man. And the mom going insane, and the dad, like, the dad's probably the most normal one out of this whole movie, to be real with you. Like, you know, the brother was going insane, even the grandma was. I think before she died in the movie, I think, oh, so sorry. If you haven't seen it, yeah, that's what happens, but my bad. I think the very ending is when the mom's floating to like the treehouse and that weird music's going on. I freaking love that scene, by the way. It was so disturbing. It was so out of the blue, so not a thing you see in a horror movie. Like, no one's ever done that before. And then the kid just walks up and they choose him as like some sort of like demon king or something like that. Shout out to Finn Balor if you're watching this. I highly doubt it, but love your work, sir. WWE, know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was a crazy scene. So I definitely would like to watch it again at some point. I don't know when. I have to get myself ready to watch that. That's the thing. So, you know, like Midsommar, you got one of those movies, and what else is there? There's a lot more. But guys, that is my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. We got The Lost Boys, Poltergeist, Train to Busan, Invisible Man, Paranormal Activity, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Child's Play 2, House 1000 Corpse, The Shining, and Hereditary. Those are my top 10. Those can change though, because I still have to watch many other movies in my life. So once I get those down, maybe this will change. So I'll have to update you guys in the future. Maybe it'll be another video. So maybe my opinion will change. Maybe I'll see some different movies here and there. Maybe I'll have to replace some, which I'm sure I will at some point. You know what I mean? If you need some movies to watch, there you go. These are definitely some movies I recommend. So yeah, guys, y'all guys have a wonderful day. I will see you guys soon. And yeah, y'all take care, guys. Peace. Or peace. Yeah, I don't know why I do that. I don't know.